The man who calls the shots at the Garden, owns the Knicks and the Rangers. He's Jim Dolan, and he joins us here in studio. Jim, how you doing?
All right, Michael. How are you?
Good. Did you like the way the day went so far?
So far, so good.
All right. Now, the last time you guys hired a coach, you did not call Phil Jackson, but you called him for the presidency. Why did you not think of it then, and why did you do it now?
Well, it didn't really. It didn't happen that way. I mean, I was at a friend's house in California. I knew that Phil was going to be there too, so we just started to talk about basketball, and it ended up being about a 2-hour conversation, and from there, the idea of the job grew out of that. It was, was not contemplated. But I mean, Phil Jackson is, I think, the brightest mind in basketball, so you have to pay a lot of attention.
Was there ever a moment, though, even a couple of years ago, when you were maybe looking for a coach to think about bringing Phil in when maybe it was more feasible, health-wise, where he maybe could have been the coach?
I didn't do the coaching decisions, right? I mean, Donnie did the coaching decisions. I don't feel that I'm really qualified to say, who's a good coach and who's not a good coach. And I'm going to kind of stick to that. Those guys made the call. I think Phil was kind of locked up for, there might have been one time way back when I think he might have been available. But, the idea actually of him at that time not being in L.A. was, I think, a little hard to imagine.
All right, for those that don't know and didn't hear the press conferences we had live here on ESPN New York, you said that you had gone to a party that Irving Azoff was throwing, and he's the manager of the Eagles, and you know him.
He's my business partner.
He's your business partner as well.
Right.
You guys opened the Forum together in L.A.,
We
right?
did, and we have a bunch of businesses together.
Was this an arranged marriage and the two sides that were going to date didn't know it? And he just brought you together?
No, he told me he was going to be there.
Okay.
Right. I mean, but I didn't know whether that conversation was going to be, a 10-minute conversation or longer. And, at the time, I think I had to take the opportunity to ask him about, what he was thinking about coaching. But, I mean, it just quickly evolved, like I said, into a conversation about basketball. And he gave me his evaluation of the team and talked about, the kind of basketball that he believes in, right, et cetera. And that's how the ball started rolling.
Would this have happened no matter how the team was playing?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, that's sort of a what-if question. I mean, if the team was in the middle of a 54-game-winning season, I probably wouldn't have wanted to change much, right? If it was that kind of difference, I think, it might not have happened.
Now, the big question that people have in any kind of a situation such as this is, well, how much power does Phil have? And you said today you willingly and gratefully cede the power on the basketball side. I'm always a little sketchy on that because if I own something, if he goes signs a free agent, it's coming out of your pocket, your wallet.
Right.
Don't you have final say anyway? I mean, there's only a certain level of autonomy that someone's going to have.
Well, the way that I manage is that I try to empower the people underneath me. They bring me a plan for the year or a longer term plan, we agree on it. We agree on the goal. They're the ones with the strategy. I'm the one with the checkbook.
Right.
Right. So, beyond that, I think that, it's really all Phil's call. And, I think we have shown that we're willing to write checks in order to try and win. And I'm probably a little more dismayed that the checks haven't produced more winning.
Hypothetical then. And we had Phil on, and Phil said he really likes Carmelo, and that's job one to get him signed. But if he came to you, and I know that you were big in bringing Carmelo here, and he comes to you and say, Jim, I don't want to sign Carmelo. I think we have to go another direction. You'd sign off on that?
It's his decision. That's my agreement with him.
Interesting. So he's got a lot of power.
Yes, he does.
And any hope at all, even though he has completely shut it down, but when you sign the deal, any hope that maybe at some point he would change his mind and want to coach the team?
I don't think that will ever happen. That's not what we're looking for Phil to do for us. We're looking to help build, a consistently winning franchise. I think he knows how to do that. I think he'll put the personnel in place. I mean, I think he's going to be deeply involved in, as I said, the basketball decisions, but the style of play, the makeup of the team, all the things that you would want him to be involved in. And hopefully that, it will be a culture that's built at the Knicks, fostered by Steve Mills, too, who was a big part of the equation. And, that's really the job. I mean, if Phil would ever coach, who would say no, right? But that's at the moment, that's not in the cards.
Do you think, in retrospect, that you overpaid for Carmelo?
No, I think we paid the least that we could have paid for Carmelo. I think that there were other teams that were vying for him, and including Brooklyn. I think we did what we had to do in order to get him, and I think the thing that people don't realize about that trade is that if we didn't make that trade, right, a bunch of those players that we traded away were up that year and the next year. That would be the team that we have right now, right? Wilson Chandler and Danilo Gallinari, we're real good players, and we're going to command a lot more money than they were making, when they initially started with us. And in order to re-sign them, we would have had to lock the team in. And so it wasn't quite as expensive as people, make it out to be.